Alright, this is chapter 3i. We are focusing on decreasing and increasing by percentage. Hopefully, by the end of this video, we will understand common financial terms and use percentages to calculate price increases and decreases. So that's the goal for today. So, um, so typically in the real world, you would use percentages when dealing with money. Okay, it's just easier that way. So some things that you would typically experience is a decrease by an amount, and we would usually label this as a discount, and increasing, and we would typically label this as a markup. Now, when dealing with money, you must make sure that you correct to 2 decimal places. Very, very important. 2 decimal places right here because we're dealing with money. So, words that mean a decrease in value, you have reduction, discount, sale, loss, and depreciation. Words that would mean increase in value, markup, increase, appreciation, and profit. So these are just some key terms that you would need to sort of recognize when dealing with questions going forward. So increasing by 40%, there's 2 methods that I will teach you. There's the first method where it breaks it down into 2 different steps. And then the second method sort of combines things a bit together. It just sort of like gets you to your goal. Okay. So method 1 mentions calculate 40% of a value. So we'll go do an actual example soon, but this is just how you'll do it. So you calculate the percentage of what the value is, and then you would add what you found in step 1 to the original amount, and then that would be your final answer. Method 2 we will take the percentage and add it to 100, and then what you would do is you would just type in your calculator 140% of the value. I will show you how this works. So let me just delete that quick. So method 1. So 40% increase of 160. So method 1 entails me to find what 40% of 160 is first. So if you type that in the calculator, I'll get 40. And to get the percentage sign, you have to press the second button and then the open bracket sign. As you can see, based off my calculator, you'll see the percentage sign above this open bracket button. In order to access that, you must make sure you press the second button first. So you find 40% times 160. That ends up being 64. So I'll just do money here. So 40% of 160 is $64. Now what we do afterwards is we add this to our original amount of 160. This would end up being $224, like so. Method 2 focuses on this. So take the 40%, add it to 100. The reason why we add is because of the word increase. So we add it to 100. This ends up making 140%. And now we find 140% of 160 here. If you type this on the calculator, you will still end up with the same answer. So let's just do this. 140 percentage times 160. That equals to 224 here. So just based off what we saw. Now, if we were to do decrease instead, it's very similar to what we do, but instead of adding, we're now going to subtract, okay? Subtract. What I'll do here is, I'll just label this here, So method one. Method one. So we know 40% of 160 already, just based off our previous slide, was $64. So what we do next is we're actually going to subtract it by 64. This ends up giving $96 here. So let's just double check. 160 minus 64 equals 96. Method 2. So what we do is, instead of doing 40% plus 100, we're now going to do 100 minus 40 instead. So this ends up giving us 60%. Decrease. So now we find 60% of 160. You should end up getting the same answer. But let's just double check to make sure. 60% times 160 equals to 96. So there we go. So you can now give this a go. So I'll just pause the screen and then I'll do my solutions. Just check if what you've done is very similar to mine. If you end up not getting the same, just see where we went wrong and then make a note of it so we don't make the same mistake in the future. Here we go. So I've just done the working out for both methods. On the left hand side you got method 1, and on the right hand side you have method 2. So with that out of the way, you can probably answer all of questions 1 to 2. Now the second half of 3i, we're now talking about selling price and all that kind of stuff, okay? So obviously we know the selling price is just how much it sells, the store sells it for. Now what you can do is you can, like, I really wouldn't worry about this for now. I'll probably just get rid of it later. So just ignore this for now, okay? Now, in your example, when you're trying to calculate discount and markups, just remember the keywords here. So discount is a decrease in value and a markup means an increase in value. So you need to just understand which words sort of correlate with what. And what you're going to do is you're going to apply the same exact step right here that we just covered earlier. So over here, just read the question carefully. Find the cost of an $860 TV that has been discounted by 25%. What I like to do is I like to highlight key information. So $860, the word discounted, and the percentage. Once you have those three things, you can sort of just figure it out and just apply what you need. So I'll just do this. So it'll be 25% times 860. Figured out whatever that is, and then you just go 860 minus whatever this number is. So let's just refer to our calculator. 25% times 860 is 215. So 860 minus 215 gives us some number that we need to figure out. So 860 minus 215 equals 645. So the final price of my TV would be $645. The second one here, find the cost of a $250 microwave that has been marked up by 12%. So $250 marked up 12%. So I'll just find what 12% of 250 is first, whatever this number is. So 12% times 250 is 30. And now we just go 250 plus 30 equals $280. That means my microwave will now sell for $280. Give this one a go. I'll pause the screen and then I'll have my solutions out. Just make a comparison. And my solutions right here. The final thing we're going to learn is GST, Goods and Services Tax. So GST is usually 10% extra, and it's paid by us as the customer already. So whenever you go in the shops right now, so if you go to Woolies, if you go to like Coles and all that, whatever price you see on those labels, they include the 10% already. For example, if you get a bottle of juice, no, let's just say you get a bottle, it's juice, and the label says $4.99. That means the 10% is included already. 10% included. So basically all I need people to do is just copy down this flowchart right here, and then copy this example right here. I'll just show that down. Calculate the selling prices of the following items if they need to have 10% GST added to them. The prices listed do not include GST already, so we need to do GST added, do not include GST. So a $35 t-shirt. So what I need to do is find 10% of $35. That ends up being $3.50, like so. And now we just add this on, this $3.50, $35. That means my final price will be $38.50. Very straightforward. So these are the questions you need to do. Take care. Peace.